your college performance does not relate to the National Football League. It never does.
They played side by side with each other, and he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. That's an issue. That's a major issue.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers.
Ever got to Texas.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. It was Quinn Ewers' program, which Steve Sarkisian made very clear the entirety of the time that Arch Manning was in Austin. So for you to argue that because Ewers is a 7th-round pick, Arch Manning is not that good and not deserving of being first overall is asinine. It is wrong. It is incorrect.
I told you he's going to be number 1 overall. My whole thing was I'm buying
you're doing your thing now where you double down on a take that is incorrect.
The best quarterback prospect to ever hit college football can't play.
He's
over
not
a 7th-round
There were
pick
two
who didn't even
perfectly
play
rated
good.
quarterbacks in the history of the sport.
Quinn Ewers couldn't even play at Ohio State. He couldn't even play at Ohio State.
Quinn Ewers. Go look it up.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Hang in there, it is! Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show. Hope you're enjoying a Memorial Day weekend wherever you're celebrating. We, of course, remember, honor the memory of, and are immensely thankful for all the United States Armed Force personnel that gave their lives for this country. And, of course, we remember all of them on today, celebrating Memorial Day. But, yeah, we're if you hear the sounds of Wrightsville Beach, I believe is where I am here in North Carolina, the smooth sounds of Lumina Boulevard behind me, that's because I'm sitting on the back deck filming this as I celebrate here with my family. And Smylie, I see you've got the El Dorado hat on. You're fresh back from family vacation as well. How was it?
This is all true. Where is Wrightsville, North Carolina?
Wrightsville's like Wilmington area.
Eagle Point? Are you Eagle Point area?
Well, I'm so glad you said it. Yeah, we played Eagle Point yesterday. I'm actually my host here, Dr. Chris Clifto, is on the porch here. I owe a great debt of gratitude to the Clifto family. It's been a delightful weekend. But we played Eagle Point, shot a cool million. I guess that was Saturday. Today's Sunday we're recording, but I get a second crack at it tomorrow morning, Monday morning.
Great.
As you're listening to this, I might be out on the golf course just trying to grind to get it back on track.
Did you see my plaque in the clubhouse by chance?
Do you have a plaque in the Eagle Point clubhouse?
They don't give plaques for top fives for PGA Tour events there?
They should. That's right. You're kind of like a horse for course here.
Okay, Charlie, that's one way of putting it.
Well, I mean, look, it's better to be a horse for a course than to be a horse not for a course, I think. I'm just saying, you play good point. We got to get you back out here.
Yeah, I guess it's a horse for course, I guess. I'm just a horse for course guy. I'm not just like play good anywhere.
I mean, you can play good anywhere too, but I mean, look, I on this very show, I've called Scotty Scheffler a horse for certain courses. So just know that in my mind, you're an elite company.
Oh yeah.
What a sweet place!
What a sweet place.
Not slow out here. Holy smokes!
It's a really cool place. I'm sure there's people that are listening right now that have been to Eagle Point. Just great vibes as soon as you pull into the clubhouse. Just in a huge piece of property. It feels like not necessarily a ton of I guess there are trees, but it just feels big.
There are. It's interesting. It's you expect to go to a beach town and feel like you're gonna get ocean view is probably not the right word, but it's set a little bit off the ocean.
Totally.
But you still have all the coastal elements of a golf course. You get the wind and just
you get the wind.
Dude, the conditioning here is, I mean, I don't think I can list 2 courses or 3 courses ahead of this one in terms of like the condition that it was in on Saturday and I expect it to be in tomorrow. Just like so firm, so fast. Greens are super, ruling super true, but also are highly, highly quick, as I learned as I 3-jacked the first green. Okay, all right, we got to dial this in a little bit better. But it's an amazing piece of property.
Good for you.
cool group of people out here that run this thing. So,
well, best of luck tomorrow morning. And yes, I did just get back from vacation. I was in Cabo with my family. We had a great time. I got a chance we went to El Dorado for half day ish. Did a lot of swimming, pool stuff. Went onto the golf course, played some holes.
Got some video of that.
There's like the
rolling pretty good.
The 16th, that was the 16th hole. That's their signature hole there. Yeah, I had a good time, man. Just Francie's entire family was there, so I had a opportunity just to kind of relax, man. Get away from the phone, which was nice. I didn't check my email once. I know a lot of people here definitely know what I'm feeling there when it comes to just literally trying to put the phone away as much as you can. So we did that. We had a great time, and I guess I'm kind of rejuvenated. The only issue is when you go on vacation the week before Memorial Day, you kind of roll right into a holiday with the boys playing golf at home. Now you got to make a decision. Am I just gonna, just drink water out there at the golf course during Memorial Weekend, or do I crack open a couple beers pretty early in the morning and just keep the good times rolling from Cabo?
I think you have permission to crack some cold ones on Memorial Day. It's a holiday after all. I mean, it's basically like it's like a couple of Sunday afternoon beers. It's just on a Monday, so it's really you're just gonna keep it rolling a little bit. Yeah,
it's technically a school night, so that's the only thing. You wake up in the morning and you're popping some cold ones right at the start of the day. That. Yeah, it's just something you got to think about. The Monday scaries.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take it easy tomorrow. I'm going to prioritize hydration and wearing sunscreen and things of that nature over. Look, I see the look you're giving me. If you're looking at Smylie on YouTube, there's a healthy level of skepticism, and it's probably fair. I'll give you the post round report next time I come on the show. But we're going to attempt to try to play some good golf and keep it hydrated. I will say though, these weeks are, and I'm sure lots of parents out there can relate, are they're fun. Like watching Walker run around the beach here in Wrightsville, and we have a little like a trap out here. We caught some fish and pulling little kind of minnows out of it. He's getting it's a very, very fun week, but holy smokes,
I've gone fishing in that whole
the Intercoastal.
Yes, I've done it. We rented a house near Figure 8, and our backyard was the Intercoastal. Hudson Swafford and I think Patton and Chris Kirk were all sharing a house, and I was out there fishing. I thought I caught big kahuna out there, and I come to find out I think I caught like a tire, and so I'm reeling this thing, pulling so hard, bending the thing, and I don't know any better. That I just think I got a fish, and I was fighting that thing for 20 minutes, and that's when the Sea Island boys are like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, "All right, yeah."
Sea Island boys know a thing or two about catching a fish out of the water. Yeah,
this is right.
We got to get you back. We got to get you back to test the horse for course theory.
I'd love to.
We can make that happen very easily. I owe you a National Golf Links of America book report. Very excited to get to that. First time playing it. We can do that in the latter half of the show.
It's the Birch King. Look at him right on top of his head there.
I got sniped by you in the group text with Jackson, which is completely fair. Like I sent you a selfie with our host, Charlie Allen. Fantastic human being. Had such a blast out
Charlie.
there. And,
fan of the show.
Yeah, fan of the show. Big fan of the show. Perhaps listening to this right now. And the text I got back was such a stereotypical move you to go pre-round merch. I'm like, I am who I am. This is what I do. That's the first stop I made.
I am who I am. That's really good.
We will get to that. But the place we, of course, have to start, Smylie, after a little bit of Memorial Day weekend pleasantries, is the golf tournament that happened down in Texas at the Charles Schwab. The second year into that renovation that Gil Hans did at Colonial. And we had, what do you want to call this? He's not a first-time winner. It's a first-time solo winner. Ben Griffin played some great golf right now. Comes down to a thrilling finish. He wins by a shot over Matty Schmid, but he only does so after Matty Schmid chips in on the 18th hole and forces him to make a 4-footer for par to win at 12 under by one shot. Bud Cauley rounding out that top three. Great playing by him this week to finish at 9 under and finish solo third. But let's start with Ben. The thing he did well, or the thing he did the best this week, was putting. Third in the field in strokes gained putting, and fourth in strokes gained tee to green. Had a lights out ball striking day on Friday, shoots 63. Sunday, the approach play was a little shaky. He was 73rd out of 78 players in the field in strokes gained approach, but great scrambling. He hit a pretty ridiculous shot prior to Matty chipping in on the 18th hole, where he had it not down to the steel, but past the steel with a ball above his feet, and chips it to 4 feet to give himself a chance to win that golf tournament in regulation. Smylie, you've had Ben on Happy Hour. You're a friend of yours. You've been following his game. He obviously, you had tabs on him as you picked him to win in one and done at Zurich. That was a big win for you and Andrew Novak. What are you seeing in Ben's game that really has been on a steady sort of incline this year? It's resulted in his first 2 wins of his tour career.
Yeah, first off, huge congratulations to Ben and his caddy, Alex Rithmel. I've known Alex a very long time. He was a caddy on the Corn Ferry Tour when I was playing, and a super great dude. Just very positive, works his tail off, and has to enjoy life on the road, because if you caddy for Ben Griffin, you're going to be playing a lot of weeks, I think.
Guys, the new Sung J M.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Tigers, 31-17, Matt, on the season. They've got the best pitching in baseball, but don't look now. The Twins are now on their heels at 26-21.
The best hitters can't stay healthy. We obviously saw a situation last week where 2 of those guys got hurt on the same play. So that's the Twins, and I think Twins fans, I'm up in Twins country. Twins fans know that up here, and you're kind of always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I actually like the fact that they went 7 games against a quality opponent here and still had to face adversity even in a game number 7. How are we setting up this next series with a rested Minnesota Timberwolves team taking on OKC fresh from the fight here?
They had an extremely, maybe it's just too short of a statement to say, easier pathway than people thought, particularly because of their size.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Ben is, it's pretty well documented. His whole story with having no place to play. Basically, after he was on the Americas tour, but because of COVID, everything was shut down out of the country. So unless you were on the Corn Ferry Tour or the PGA Tour, and if you recall too, Corn Ferry and PGA had like a 2-year rolling cycle with tour cards, so nobody got promoted, nobody got demoted. So players that were not on the Corn Ferry Tour really left with nowhere to go. And so Ben Griffin, that's when he picked up the job as a loan officer before he had an opportunity to get back, go to Q school, and of course have a backer to help him out along the way. And we've seen where that has taken him. But even so, his story on the PGA Tour has changed. You know, he used to be a player, a young kid who enjoyed, like any young player, enjoys going out in the town, having some beers, hanging out, eating crappy. Anybody can relate to that, right, Charlie? We'd all say yes.
Yeah. Me? You talking to me?
Well, he's vegan. He made that decision a couple years back. He felt like the more he leaned into this diet and being a vegan and not drinking alcohol, the better he felt, and the more that he was able to play. And I think that's kind of been a big recipe for him, is for a guy he is the Iron Byron. He's the Sung JM, the guy who plays 30 events a year. All of a sudden he's winning golf tournaments. And, for the longest time, he's just been a solid player, a cut maker. It kind of is challenged at times. He's been in some final groups, was close to winning in Jackson a couple years back. It just didn't quite get it done. But the thing I've noticed is his driving. And particularly, I would say, just his ability to gain strokes off of the tee and his distance pop. I saw a ball speed on the 13th hole today from Ben Griffin at 185.
Wow.
That blew me away. It's so much so that it had me shaking my head that I took my foresight with me out to the golf course today. And I bombed a drive on the 17th hole out at Shoal. And I looked down at the ball speed, Charlie. What do you think it was?
Okay, bomb drive. It's warm. It's humid. Perfect season for golf in Alabama. We're trying to chase Ben Griffin's 185 number. I'm going to say you were I don't think you saw an 8 in front of it. I'm going to say 179.
170.
Wow. Okay. How do we feel about that?
Now, granted, I wouldn't say I was totally warmed up, but I will say I hit it good enough to where I thought it was going to be closer to like 173, 174. And I was just thinking, I was like, how would I possibly get to 185? What would I have to do right now to get to 185? So it just made me have an appreciation for either the work that Ben's doing in the gym or how good his mechanics are, to where he's at a point where he can go at it that hard and hit it relatively straight. Where last year, and really just over the course of Ben's PGA Tour career, I could probably go back 3 or 4 years and just look at his overall accuracy. That's the thing that has held him back the most from winning. And so this year, I believe he's switched to a ping driver. That's been something that he's like leaned on heavily for accuracy. I'm 99% sure that's what he's using, but that's been a huge key for him, is just finding a couple more fairways around and not having the one that just goes off the map.
It's interesting. I was just looking at stats as you were talking. I guess his average on the season is about 176 miles per hour. So has that extra gear to get to 185.
That's really good. What does that rank, 176?
71st on tour. So
God, they're long now.
It's amazing how much longer these guys are getting. But I mean, if you have that, if you can kind of ratchet it up a bit, and I think it's an interesting point you make about dietary choices, for especially in relation to a guy that wants to play a lot. Because traveling, of course, it takes a toll on your body, and different firmnesses of mattresses, and are you traveling with your pillow or not? Like, all those things take a toll. If you're just a regular human being that's trying to go visit a place, let alone someone who wants to play top-notch golf for 4 straight days, so you can win millions of dollars. But making a conscious decision to eat and drink things that are going to be low in inflammation probably gives him energy where to get into the 4th or 5th or 6th week in a row on the road.
I'm thinking about playing. This technically would be like 2.5 days in a row. As today, I played like 4 or 5 holes, hit like 10 balls, and I played the day before. And I'm wondering how I'm going to get it done tomorrow. Like, how am I going to get the job done at finishing the golf round? And it just reminds me of how ridiculous my regimen used to be. Of how much time and effort and injuries that I was dealing with, where I deal with those same injuries after just like 1 round of golf now.
Buddy, you're talking to a guy who played 36 at National. We got to the 15th hole of the second 9. I turned to my caddy and I was like, we got to figure out if there's like a gold bond situation in this locker room. And he turned to me and said, Charlie, some things you don't have to say out loud. And I was like, fair.
Swamp dogs.
Yeah, swamp dogs. So like this is a guy that can't make it through one day of golf, let alone 4 days and traveling all over the nation.
I was curious if your glute just wouldn't stop firing. The hammies were walking up on you. What the exact situation was.
I will tell you, this is a little teaser for the rest of the recap. Is we did the lobster lunch between rounds, of course, and even
of course you did,
and it was a quick one.
That's where you catch a buzz.
That's where had a south side, of course. Can't skip that. But it was a cold day. It's like low 50s. The wind was blowing between like 15 and 20, 25 miles an hour. So come back out. The back's locking up a little bit. And I'd hit 2-iron earlier in the day, but the wind had picked up a little bit, and I was
back into your face at one.
Kind of into and across, right to left. And I'm thinking, let's just hit a 3-wood out there to the right, and just classic, like my back is not moving yet, and the rest of my arms are, and I snap hooked this thing onto the front lawn, National Golf Links of America. Got a great picture I can send to you of this. I had probably the best lie I had all day. I was sitting right in the middle of the lawn, great look at the green, probably about 105 yards in. But yeah, that was where I was in terms of muscles functioning. It was suboptimal, to say the very least. Not at Ben Griffin's level, to be sure.
Let me ask you this: did they have any steamed mussels at the lobster lunch?
I did not do steamed mussels. I did not do steamed mussels. I had, it was an excellent 3-course meal, and it was. You know what? I'm going to save it for the full recap. It was. I don't want to get too far off Ben Griffin here, because there are a few things I want to get your thoughts on here and actually do a little trivia with you. First of all, I got to do my homer routine. North Carolina Tar Heel. Love seeing the Heels play good on tour. So shout out to all they're doing at that program.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
You are a Pirates fan. I don't think you've got a reason good enough for me to be wearing Met stuff when the Mets are playing the Pirates right now. I don't think I'm gonna go, okay, I see it at the end of your explanation.
I'm gonna put it on Vinny. I'm gonna put it on all the Mets fans. The Pirates won 2 in a row. They fired the manager over the weekend. A new era of Pirates baseball has begun.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I have a question I want to ask for you about Ben Griffin. I don't know if you cheated and looked ahead already, but I'm going to do this with the help of our friends at Ahead. And I've got a double look ahead segment here. Ahead, as we've talked to you about on the show, great supporter of what we do here. They are a strategic partner for enterprise clients, helping them navigate the path toward digital transformation, much like an expert caddy, reading the course ahead and providing the winning combination of technology and execution. Learn more at ahead.com. Also appropriate because of your mention of Ben's caddy, good buddy of yours. So here's what I want you to guess. Where do you think Ben Griffin after this week lands in the Ryder Cup points standings?
I already looked it up, but I already forgot.
Okay, well.
He jumped up 5 spots to, I think, 19th. Is that right?
He was 18th. He's now 13th.
Oh, well, my thing didn't say that.
Just outside the top 12. Yeah, it was updated on the tour website, not yet updated on the Ryder Cup
it shows him.
website.
It shows him that he's an 18th. Oh, but that was after the PGA. He had a good week at the PGA. What did he finish here? Did he finish top 5?
He did. I believe he was part of that group. He was either the T4 group or the T7 or 8 group, but he was right there.
Yeah, because I remember seeing him out there. I was like, oh, good. Ben's playing good. We were out there watching. Jackson and I were.
So let me ask you this. It's very interesting. The top 6 are feel like they're pretty solidly locked in at this point. Maybe a little bit of movement in terms of who's automatically qualified and who isn't. But your top 6 right now for the U.S. team are Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Russell Henley. The 7 to 12 section gets really interesting. Harris English at 7, Andrew Novak at 8, Maverick McNeely at 9, Brian Harman at 10, J.J. Spawn at 11, Patrick Cantlay at 12. And then I mentioned just some of the notables beyond that top 12 list. You got Ben Griffin at 13, Daniel Berger at 14, Tony Finau at 15, Keegan is at 18, the captain of the team, of course, Wyndham Clark at 19. You've got Akshay Bhatia at 23, Sam Burns at 28, Jordan Spieth at 31, Patrick Reed at 32, Cam Young at 34, Max Homa at 35. There are going to be some interesting decisions for Keegan Bradley. And I know we keep saying, hey, there's time. Well, that cutoff, I believe, at least for the points, is sometime in August, mid-August, I believe, after the BMW. So with about, I don't know, what do you want to call it, 2.5 months, maybe close to 3 months remaining before they have to make those cut downs, where's your head kind of going with the picks, given what I told you about what's happening between 7 and 12?
Well, I mean, Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin have won a title together this year, so
good at match or good at team.
So if you're starting to make a case for Novak and Ben, which shoot, they've been as hot as any American this year outside of a couple guys. I mean, both have 2 wins to their name and have been consistently. I mean, just think about Ben and Andrew this year, and anytime you look at a leaderboard, like these guys are in the top 25 every single week.
So
it seems
consistent.
like. So at what point do you really start to say Ben and Andrew are, should be on the team? And hey, the matchup's already there. They play alternate shot together. Well, they have experience playing together. Now they have no experience playing Ryder Cups, which we know what that's like. And you have to wonder with Andrews, he played good in the first round, but really struggled on Friday at the PGA. But he's playing with Keegan Bradley. How much is that weighing on him? Just getting to see 36 holes of it and seeing him play poorly in one round, but well in the first round. I don't know. The run of guys who I think still have some dog left on the bone. I think Akshay is still going to make a run at it. I still feel like he's got some good golf in front of him. I think Denny McCarthy, the way he putts the golf ball, if he can just have, that one breakthrough win, I think Denny could be on this team very easily. And it's the guys that are proven, the ones I don't know, like they're gonna have to do more than just make cuts and finish, between 5th to 40th in events like Tony Finau, Jordan Spieth, Sam Burns, Wyndham Clark. All these guys you've kind of mentioned, Max. I mean, Max Homa's got to do a ton to make this team. It seems like that group of guys I just kind of mentioned, like I think Cantlay is going to be on the team and Harman probably is going to be on the team, but that group of those veterans they're going to have to. One of them's going to have to jump through this door because they have other guys that are technically playing better than them.
When you think of or try to predict, because I think Bethpage Black, the environment's going to be, I mean, all the Ryder Cup environments are intense. There are lots of energy, but I think we're all expecting to see the most amped up version of that at Bethpage in the fall. When you think about the composition of an American team and what you think Keegan will do with his picks, do you think the energy is more conducive to taking a first timer because you have someone who's backing you and pushing you on, or you think it's less conducive to that because it's so much you have to process and take in terms of emotion and atmosphere that it could be overwhelming, even if it's in support of your team?
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
If you believe he should be in the Hall of Fame, there's, let's let him wait another 2 years. Wait, he's already dead at this point. Like, what are you waiting for? Another 2 to 3 years. He's either in or he's out. And sometimes you look at that too, Tom. It's like you can't tell, the history of Major League Baseball without Pete Rose.
Frankly, the writers have some standard that they want to hold players to, which seems to fluctuate on a player-to-player basis. So he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I'm not sure how quickly he'll get there.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
I'm not saying this thing is scripted, but damn it, they put those two teams on the first weekend of the basketball season for a reason, because they were expecting some kind of fireworks. They got it. Did Angel Reese overreact? Probably. Did Caitlin Clark have to stare it down? Probably not. There's enough blame to go both sides. But guess who doesn't care? That's the WNBA.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Well, I think it's a good balance. I think it's good to have experience. It's good to have young guys that are coming up. That's what makes those teams so cool. Is just the stories of old guys helping out young guys, and you're never going to have a team of guys playing without any rookies on the team. So there's going to be new faces. I mean, JJ Spahn's another player I mentioned. Like he's in that same group of like JJ, Novak, and Griffin. And Maverick McNeely all could be first timers on this team. And could you see a scenario where 4 of the picks are going to be first timers? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Keegan's going to take 4 first timers, considering that Russell Henley's never played in a Ryder Cup, and he's going to be a player that probably most likely is going to be earning his way via the 6 automatics. So 4 seems like a lot. 3 seems like a safer bet there. But hey, man, if those 4 dudes are playing better than the proven guys, I mean, what's Keegan going to do? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, even if for people who haven't watched Tour Golf this season, because you'd be thrilled to have Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin on the team. But for those who haven't, are expecting more name brand entities to be on that team, I think the argument you're making in terms of consistency is one that makes a ton of sense. Like, we know these guys can go out, on a round-around, day-to-day basis and put up what we can expect in terms of results from them, versus someone who is erratic and can be up and down. It's like these guys kind of put it together every single day, every single week. That's a huge quality for someone who's a first-timer.
Okay, let me phrase it this way for you. Paint this analogy. So Charlie Hume is playing in the Ryder Cup at Hope Valley. And you've been trying to make this team for so long. Why don't we say this? Why don't we say this is the Metropolitan Ryder Cup of Durham? And so we're talking about the best players from all clubs, and there's one team and then there's another team, and you've been dying to make this team, and you finally make the team. And not only do you make the team, you make the team with a guy from Hope Valley, and you're thinking to yourself, gosh, I have got to be paired with this guy, because I would love, first off, to play with him, but I know his game. And so I would feel more comfortable playing with that player versus, let's say you go and get paired with, by your captain, with one of the best players in the area. Would Charlie not have more pressure? Wouldn't you be putting more pressure on yourself to play well and to make sure that, like, okay, I'm trying to learn this guy's game over a course of a couple days?
Yeah.
Is this analogy making sense at all to you?
It's making a ton of sense, because I'm not against playing with Old Chatham guy or Crowsdale guy, but I can tell you that Hope Valley guy, he and I already have the playlist dialed in. We know what the right mix is, like what cadence we need to be on when the car girl's coming by. We got all that stuff going. We probably already are collaborating on Spotify playlists, and we have like different ones for different moods, depending on what we need during the round. That's the guy I want to take with me to the Metropolitan Ryder Cup of Durham.
It's like, man, you need a shot right now. Like, we've got to take a shot, or
we got to take.
Like, you're going to have to sit here. I'm about to slap you in the face, and you're just going to have to take it. And you're just like, yeah, thank you, may I have another?
Yeah. Listen, I think your analogy makes perfect sense, and I really want to play in the Metropolitan Durham Ryder Cup now.
You should start it now. So it should make it a thing.
It's something to start. Let me continue.
Well, if you start it, then you're in. Like, then you shoot in to where.
Well, yeah. Then I'm like, I there's no like angst over whether I make the team because I invented this thing. Well, really, you invented this thing, but it happened here.
Fine, I'll play.
Yeah, this is perfect. We'll come you down. We'll bring you down to East Eagle Point. You play Eagle Point, and then you just keep on going to Hope Valley. You tour Hope Valley at least.
Yes.
So we'll get you hitting golf shots out there.
I think you introduced me to every player in the club.
Everybody at the club. That's kind of the thing I do. You're like my show and tell object. Yeah. A lot of people eager to meet you, eager to take pictures, things of that nature. Let's look ahead in a shorter term, Smylie, to this next week. This thing. Did you like that segue?
The show and tell. The show and tell was great.
Show and tell is really good, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Like, let's just call a spade a spade.
That's pretty good. It's good.
So this week, Memorial Tournament. Really, really cool storyline here when you're looking at like that Aon Swing 5, Aon Next 10. Third, finishing solo third this week, Bud Cauley at 9 under. And it was, I believe, 7 years ago this week when Bud had that car accident at Memorial that derailed his career.
That's right.
And now he is 35 years old, had that medical extension. With that third place finish, he moves 14 spots up to 36 in the FedEx Cup, now in the Memorial Tournament. I don't really have a great specific prompt for you other than how cool is this? I mean, just Bud's season and just the way he's playing, and a guy that could easily just hang it up and not have to go through all the hardship and grind of working back through injuries. But here he is in line to make it to the Tour Championship and playing the Memorial this week.
Oh, it's awesome, man. But he's been a good friend for a long time. So to know what he's been through, and obviously not to be seeing it day after day of how difficult it was. And, this is a guy that was considering getting out of professional golf not too long ago and getting a job. This is to transition now from Ben Griffin to Bud Cauley for two guys that have, seen how difficult life can be when either you're not healthy, you're not having the opportunities, but when, things start to go your way, you can see a Ben that's, parlayed this thing into, an incredible PGA Tour career thus far with a couple wins, and Bud Cauley, 36. That's awesome, man. It's so good to see. And, I couldn't be more proud of him. So I'm excited. Yeah. And also I did say he was going to play well this week, if you recall, in our one and dones.
You did indeed. You called that. You're one of the guys that you liked. I
should have used him.
It would have been nice. I mean, I forget now. Who'd you use?
I used Harris. He finished like 50th.
Yeah.
Who did 8 points. I think you used Postman, didn't you?
I did use Postman. Yeah. There you
go. I'm not sure how he played.
Yeah,
he made the cut, but I think he was like top 20, top 25-ish.
I need a little bit more. It's the same things you said about these guys in the Ryder Cup. I need a little bit more than a made cut at this point in the year, one and done. I need guys who are top 10ing, top 5ing, winning, things of that nature. I mean, I think, and then, we've talked about this a lot in a larger context, but in the structure of the way this tour works, a guy that's sitting there at 36 and now he's in a signature event where, and I believe, obviously this is one of the signature events that has a cut, because it's Jax that has a cut, it's API, and it's Genesis,
which I love.
But which I love too. But it's a cut for less players, so he's got a good chance of making it to the weekend and then getting much more points relative to a regular PGA Tour event to solidify that status and move to the top 30. So it's huge for him. Really, really cool story. Yeah.
Well, I guess I know you kind of transitioned to the Memorial, and we could continue to talk about it too. Mm-hmm. And I guess 4 players that we just briefly talked about. I'm just looking at the FedEx Cup because I was just curious after you said Bud Cauley. I wanted to check it out.
Yeah.
Dude, Ben Griffin's all the way up to 5th. in the FedEx Cup, and Novak is 6th. That's also a telling sign for me when you see a player that high up in the season long rankings. Let's say they both, Novak and JJ Spawn was the other guy. He's 12th. I know he got a lot of points for the players, but Harris English is 11th. Mavericks 15th. Berger's 16th. I mean, is Keegan gonna, I know I'm going back to this, but is Keegan just going to take the guys who've been playing really good this year?
Well, and maybe this is being too sort of arbitrary or nitpicky, but I'm more inclined to go with the guys on that list that have played good and won than just the guys that have played good. Just
it's like you need to see JJ win.
I need to see JJ win. I'd love to see Daniel Berger win.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm ruling them out if they don't win, but I'm just saying I'm a lot closer to. I mean, shoot.
Do you think a win for JJ and Daniel Berger, if either one of those guys win, are they locked? Do you think?
I think they're close to, maybe even qualified at this point, given where they are. I mean, they're top 12.
It'd be hard to qualify.
Berger's 14 and Spawn's 11. So yeah, I mean, they maybe have to do a little. It also depends on the event. If you tell me one of those guys goes out,
if they win a major,
Memorial,
then they're
if they
in.
win a major, they're a lock. But if they win a Memorial this weekend, okay, yeah, that matters to me a lot more than like if they go play in the John Deere this summer. So
of course, yeah, I follow you there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a very interesting study in what Keegan deems to be the personality traits needed to succeed at this very unique Ryder Cup setting.
Buy or sell, Devers will be traded this season. Let's also not forget that there's $300 million on the table due to Devers, which eliminates him from, what would you say, like 17 teams?
I would think more than 17, maybe 27. That's a joke, but how many teams could afford him? All right, 5, 6. How many teams needed a third baseman who can't play third base? You know, how many people want to deal with his attitude? He hasn't come off looking good in any of this. Whether you believe he should have anyway, doesn't look good at this. Will he be traded? No, he won't be traded. The salary alone makes it highly unlikely. He's a great hitter. No doubt he can hit. But other than that, there's too many between the money and the attitude and no really position for him here. He's not getting dealt anytime soon.
Buy or sell, if the season ended today, Hunter Brown would win the American League Cy Young Award.
Hunter Brown has been fantastic. All right, the guy that Craig's teasing, by the way, is Tariq Skubal of the Detroit Tigers here, who's certainly right up there with them. Max Fried for the Yankees has had a fantastic season. They finally lost a start where he pitched it against Seattle the other day. They'd won every start. He's been fantastic. The season ended today with Hunter Brown winning the American Cy Young Award. I certainly couldn't argue it if he did. That being said, he's going up against Skubal, who won it last year, going up against Fried of the Yankees. My guess is that he'll need a year. You understand what I'm saying? He needs a year before he can get that kind of recognition if he's tied with somebody. If he's clearly ahead, then I think he would win here. But as of right now, would he win it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it would be probably Max Fried.
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Only on SportsGrid.
You sent over a tweet, and really the conversation got started by Monday Q Info on X of just talking about what the tours work towards in terms of structure and signature events. And, Rory McIlroy this week, of course, skipping the Memorial, but he's going to play in the Canadian Open. There's been sort of mixed reaction to that, opinions both way on X. The tweet you sent over in specific was Bob Harrigs, and he says, if there is a reason why Rory will get called out, it's because he was part of the Delaware meeting that pushed for this, but he's also doing the tour a huge solid by going to Canada and by going to New Orleans and Houston. Bottom line is he will have played in 5 signature events, 4 majors, and the players, maybe 10 is enough to satisfy the all the best need to be together idea. Maybe they consider reducing number of signature events. And Bob, he buries the lead. So also, don't be surprised if he skips Memphis, which is something we've talked about on the show, and that would be very, very interesting.
I don't think he's going to play Memphis.
I don't think so either.
Dude, he almost finished like bottom of the pack last year. I don't think he wanted to be there. It didn't change like his ability to win that tournament at the end of the year, the Tour Championship. It's going to be like, all right, am I going to start 2 shots back or 3 shots back with Scotty Scheffler? I mean, would that matter to you?
Well, I think I don't want to assign motives to Rory, but I think part of it is just kind of calling the bluff of a system that he doesn't like. And a lot of guys vocally have talked about not liking. It's like if he says, if he decides, hey, I'm not going to play in this thing, and it's one of 3 playoff events, that is a very serious thing for a tour that is hoping to elevate all 3 of those events. And so I think it's like the only way you can go about resolving that is by changing the format so the players cannot skip a first playoff event and still be in contention for the Tour Championship.
Yeah, that's a whole definite conversation to have. And I think the criticism with Rory is understood because when you go back to that meeting in Delaware with all the top players, Tiger flying in when I think Ricky was on the flight coming up to meet with the guys about, all right, guys, let's all commit to be playing together at signature events. It's 8 times of the year. And there's going to be a penalty if you don't play in those events. And what we can do, this is all these guys at this meeting are saying to the PGA Tour executives, like, y'all can go and charge these sponsors more because we will guarantee them that we will all be there playing. And so Rory was a part of this, like he was one of the many top players that were there that were advocating towards we need to play against the best players in the world more. So that's where the scrutiny is coming from with Rory, is the fact that he's going to skip 3 of these signature events. Like you said, possibility that he might skip Memphis. But then there's the other side of the coin, which is I don't really hate it. I think the signature events, the where they're laid out in the schedule, needs to be looked at. I think they're too grouped up. They're not spaced out enough, and it puts guys in really weird situations around the majors of, okay, like, do I value playing at the Memorial, a place that has always been one of the premier events on the PGA Tour? Arnold Palmer would be in that same vein as far as PGA Tour events, and guys are just like, you know what? I'm good. I'll play the week before a major because I'd rather just stick to that routine. That's what Rory did. He played in Houston, right before. Well, I guess the argument could be made is that Houston was 2 weeks before Augusta, where San Antonio was a week before.
Well, he changed it because he played San Antonio 2 years ago, and then he didn't.
But now,
I just. Well, go ahead.
Well, because Memorial's this week. Canada's next week.
Correct. He's playing the week before a major,
and then the U.S. Open, right?
But I think each guy I feel like approaches this a different sort of way, and Scotty Scheffler doesn't play in the Truist the week before the PGA, and that turns out pretty good for him. Like I don't think we were raising that much of a fuss about Scotty skipping the last signature event, and the strategy, of course, paid off because he was the one hoisting the Wanamaker at the end of the week. I just think with Rory. It's, and again, I don't mean to assign him a motive or try to, tell you what's going on in his brain, because I certainly don't know that. But I do think that if I had to guess, it's just been an evolution. Like what he said in that meeting and that climate and what the tour was asking of him at that point is so much different than the role he plays right now for this tour. And I think in some ways he was sort of unfairly trotted out by the tour to be the sort of spokesperson against Live,
sure,
and then we're doing all these things to solidify it. And so I think the Delaware meeting is, the Delaware meeting is like 4 iterations of the tour ago. It's like almost like an unrecognizably different product than it is now. So, and I think, also like Rory is one of the guys who's consistently talked about his desire for a more global tour. While remaining on the PGA Tour, which a lot of guys who wanted the global tour went and played on Live. And so by going to Canada, he's going to play in that event in India, I believe. Like there are, like he's doing things that are actually putting his money where his mouth is, in terms of like growing the game of golf and playing globally. And if it comes at the expense of a PGA Tour signature event, it does it stink? Yeah. Would I like to see him there so we had a full field? Absolutely. Is it doubly stinky because it's Jack Nicklaus's tournament and he represents so much to this game and this tour? For sure. But it doesn't really make me that upset. I think it's his prerogative to not play in it.
Yeah, totally. It is, and that's the choice that he has on the PGA Tour. He doesn't have to play in those events. Now, in the past, that PIP deal, he would have been penalized. He would have to give, I believe, his money back, right?
It's like a structured thing of like how many of it, and I think they've even tweaked that. Like it used to be a category.
Well, there's no more
thing
PIP anymore, or there's no more of that, right?
Yeah, correct. I think, yeah.
There's no more PIP. I don't think.
Because that might have gone away with the SSG deal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gone.
Oh, yeah, ended in 2024. Look at us researching on the fly. The PIP was in 2024.
Yeah, now
the PGA Tour replaced with the Player Equity Program. That's right, and that was a whole other thing we had to unpack and guess as to what the constitution of it was.
Rory has the right as a PGA Tour player to play in any week that he wants to play in. We mentioned the reason why you would be under criticism for it, because he said we need to play against each other the most to bring more eyeballs to it. That's when the rating stock was really at a premium last year. But I don't think that Rory loves to play Muirfield as much as maybe he used to. The place has just gotten ridiculously hard, man. Like last year was an absolute joke. It was so hard. I remember walking out some fairways with Rory, just talking about the golf course with him and how frustrated he was. Just with certain shots that are just like, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, there's nowhere to miss it here. There's, and typically that form of complaints would be made by players way less talented than him. So if a player like him is saying, man, this place is just ridiculous, that's just kind of a bit of a sign of maybe it's a little bit too much now. Like, I don't think they quite have that golf course quite like it used to be.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Chiefs Chargers in Brazil on Friday on YouTube. They're going to give everyone that game for free. They're so generous because the rest of the season they're going to fleece you for all your money.
That's one, Scott. That division, to me, based on what's happened to the Chiefs the last couple seasons, that division, the AFC West, could be up for grabs here. I know Chiefs fans think I'm probably out of my mind.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
I actually like the fact that they went 7 games against a quality opponent here and still had to face adversity even in a game number 7. How are we setting up this next series with a rested Minnesota Timberwolves team taking on OKC fresh from the fight here?
They had an extremely, maybe it's just too strong a statement to say, easier pathway than people thought, particularly because of their size.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Lucas Glover on a SiriusXM PGA Tour show. The take on driver testing is nothing crazy. It's in line with what we've heard from Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, and others. He just wants all drivers to be tested. And he's talking to Taylor Zarzour, also who we're a big fan of, good friend of ours who co-hosts that show with Lucas. He says, I don't really know how to say that. I've been trying to think all morning and all day how to say this without sounding like it's going to sound. but most guys don't give them their real driver anyway. They give them their backup just in case. He says, no, it's true. And the testing is the way it is, which is why. And again, I know a lot of guys, they keep two drivers in their bag just in case.
He said it out
yeah,
loud?
it's this one. It's this one right here. Yeah, do this, test this one. So I'm just asking you, and I don't want you to rat anybody out.
No, I don't know anything about that. I seriously don't know a ton about testing.
Really?
I may have been tested. They may have tested my equipment 10 times, but the amount of times I was around when they came and said, "Hey, we need to test your driver for conformance," I have not been around for it. Now, my caddy may have been, or maybe that's how it's come about. I have no idea, because seriously, I don't remember anything.
That stinks, because I was going to ask you, with all the talk about this being in the news, what it's like. Were you on the range when other guys got tested? Like, can you offer any insight as to what it's like, start to finish, of the testing process for equipment, to just help people who have read all these things the last couple weeks put it together?
I need to do my own recon on it, because I think if there was one time that I can kind of remember, it's that one year I think my driver got tested in Palm Springs, but I think they just saw my old Cleveland Classic driver and just said, "Nah, you're good." Like, if you want to play that, go ahead, because it was nobody else was playing it. It was just me, and I think Keegan Bradley, like him and I were the only guys that played it. And it was such a good driver, fantastic driver. Oh my God, it was incredible.
I do remember that now. The Cleveland they had a great run for a while with driver heads.
Oh, dude, they went. We go all the way back. The launcher, of course, was terrific.
The launcher was great.
The launcher was great, but then they went to the high bore. Remember when VJ was playing his best golf? He had the high bore going. I thought that was going to change drivers forever, because everybody was going to have. Can you imagine being just like another brand and being like, "Guys, stop everything you're doing. We gotta go to the duck, the duck peak."
Well, and was the driver the one of that line that I remember, like the high bore fairway wood being really? Am I misremembering that?
It was, the driver was better than the
driver was better. Okay,
yeah, that was definitely better than the fairway metals.
We need to talk to some of your contacts and see if we can't get our hands on.
I still got some high bores. I still got some.
We got to go rip the high bore. That should be an encore.
It was a good driver, dude. It was a good driver.
Here's what we should. We should talk to the USGA. We're just going to live pitch an idea. We should get the USGA to do a conformity test to your Cleveland high bore and see what ball speeds it generates right now, to see how fast testing. And then that way we can all find out what testing's like and make it transparent. And also we get to whip out the Cleveland high bore one more time. Because
I went from they stopped making the Cleveland Classic, and it wasn't quite as good as it was back. Because like when I was playing the Masters, that was the driver I was using, was the Cleveland Classic. And then I ran out of heads, and then eventually my next drive was the M2, and that driver was awesome.
Yeah, well, the TaylorMade M2.
Yeah. I went like my
M2 was I think that's Rory's favorite.
My
club
speed,
ever.
My speed was way up with that club.
Yeah. Well, all right, lots of work with there. Not a lot in the way of explaining how testing works, unfortunately, but a lot of good. I hope that trip down memory lane will suffice.
I think we came away just thinking that shouldn't they just hire people every week to do this, like to where it's a level playing field? Like just hire enough people to do this every week.
I would think so.
It's just a driver.
It's just a driver. And I would say, without any information, and none of which we gleaned today from this conversation, that if it's as simple as people have made it sound like why, to take out the concern that Lucas Glover puts out on his show, like, could we not just, get to the tee a minute before your tee time, like make that some sort of enforced policy, and just do the test really quick at the first tee of the driver that you are definitely going to play that day? I guess that doesn't give you any time to replace the driver if it fails, but I don't know. There's got to be some way to do this to both ensure that every driver gets tested and ensure that guys aren't trying to sneak through some loophole, if indeed what Lucas is saying is commonplace on tour. But that's a pretty wild allegation if that is something that guys do.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll work on it.